Lisa, how are you?
I'm fantastic. Glad to be here.
She comes in from time to time for a lawyer up. Now, you missed something a moment ago. Biggie calls it the most Chris Kelly moment of the day. We saw you at the door. Of course, Dave went out to get you and bring you in. And then I was looking down and heard the door to the studio open back up. And I said, Lisa Lanier, our favorite person, is here. Well, it was Dave. You weren't even in here. I didn't even look up. You had gone to use the restroom.
Lisa, how are you? She's not here, boss.
Yeah.
Slow down.
I do that a lot. And let's get the elephant out of the room before we take calls. You wanted to know if there's any update on Jaquantavius,
Had to know that.
Pine Straw man.
Yeah.
He has not come back, luckily. Lisa really helped me through that.
But he needs to. The weeds are coming back up.
Well, yeah.
Right.
And by the way, they are. I think he just covered them with pine straw. I don't think
he didn't do any weeding.
Believe it or not.
Right.
He didn't.
Those are
unbelievable.
There's been a news piece about it now, Lisa, and you can see some of the pine straw that they've done. And my favorite are the comments that go, doesn't even look that good. And I'm like, well, that's because they were surprised they got the job.
Yeah,
Right.
they're scam artists.
Hey, we got to put pine straw out. We don't ever do that.
And so many people, they probably had that same pine straw for a year
Right.
as a truck.
Right.
Yeah. So many people have said to me, this happened to my great-granddaddy. That's when we knew it was.
Oh, my
That's when it was slipping. We knew it was time.
We knew it was time at that point. Look, you've never been so violated as when you're on the phone with your lawyer in your closet with the lights off with your football helmet on going, Lisa, help me, they're back. They're back. And then Biggie just says he thinks we owe Jaquantavius a...
Well, this might be the first lawsuit question of the day.
Yeah.
Can you sue someone because I feel like you've ruined his career and his life as a scam artist because...
it was all true, though.
That's right.
Truth is a defense.
That's
No
right.
defamation.
when he gets out of the truck now, before he can even get to the door, somebody comes running out. I know all about this.
You're the one that got that stupid DJ. I know. He's got to break from the pine straw and do some other kind of scam.
We got to run the driveway cleaner scam.
Yeah, that's right. Donna's on the phone now. If you have a question for Lisa Lanier, it's Ask the Lawyer time. 866-470-2GNC. Donna, what is your question for Lisa Lanier?
Hi, Lisa. And guys, I just wanted to let you know I'm one of your biggest fans of this show.
Thank you. That's awfully nice of you. Appreciate it.
Yes, and I'm Trucker Dave's wife. So Lisa, my question is, my son and his wife were in a 2-year lease. They were renting a house, and 13 months into the lease recently, their landlord decided they wanted to sell the house that they're in, and they gave them 60 days to get out. And disclaimer, they are out. They did move. We didn't move quick enough on this. But legally, are they allowed to displace them, basically?
That's a good question.
Yeah, that's a great question. And generally, they are allowed to, with notice, break the lease. There are very few exceptions to that. Typically in the commercial lease setting, when the lease is recorded at the Register of Deeds office. But usually in a typical residential lease, the parties can break the lease depending on the circumstances with notice.
Oh, really? So 60 days is enough notice?
Yeah, 60 days is typically enough.
Oh, man, that's too bad.
This
It
happen
happens to a lot of people.
Yeah.
I had this happen to a couple friends and a family member this year when the real estate market was so hot.
Yeah.
That it's like,
It's a shame.
I'm selling because I can get a lot of money right now.
Well, now I'm a slumlord. I don't know if you
Yeah,
know that.
I know.
I have a property. Yeah, we've talked about
that.
I'm a slumlord. So is it possible? Could I, if I wanted to suddenly sell that house, I can tell him, all right, you're out in 60 days.
Yeah, with notice. Yeah.
Oh man, that's kind of low.
But can you kick them out in 60 days? Your renters kick them out and then rent it again at a higher rate?
Well, now then you would be misrepresenting. And,
Okay.
Yeah, there would be an issue there that
But
you would
selling
have
is
breached, you would have
different.
breached the lease. But yeah, if you as long as you give the notice and if you and you are not acting in bad faith.
Did you see this? This is one where the HOA actually lost. This was in Raleigh, North Carolina. The state Supreme Court. Apparently, some folks spent $32,000 4 years ago to install solar panels on the roof of their house. And a few months after the install, they got a notice of architectural violation from their HOA, and they were asked to remove it at their expense and all that kind of stuff. Well, they took the HOA to court, and they won.
I love it. I love it.
How
I
did they win
hate
that?
HOAs.
Yeah, I can't believe they won that, though. How did they do that?
Well, what happened was that this went all the way to the North Carolina Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court said, look, your bylaws and your covenants and your rules don't say anything about solar. So how can you say that these people are not allowed to put this solar on there? So it's very specific. The ruling is that, if you address the solar, if you say in the bylaws to begin with no solar, then the HOA would have won. but they didn't. So it just they were trying to basically, it was a power grab by the HOA to try to just say, look, we can just make up anything we want.
Oh, okay.
And the Supreme Court said, nope, you can't do that.
This is the first time that the HOA loses. You know, the
It's the
HOA,
first time I've heard in a long
They
time.
always win.
I hate those things.
I'm the only one on the side of the HOA. I'm always on the side of the HOA.
Yep.
I hate Field of Dreams, and I like the HOA.
Everything uniform.
Everything,
Yeah.
yes, lockstep, uniform, want it just right. Don't bring down my property values. Jerry, a question for Lisa Lanier now today. Ask the lawyer at 866-470-2GNC. Jerry, go ahead.
Yeah, I bought a car, had the car 2 months. I paid $26,500 for the car. Had it 2 months. A woman ran into the side of me. I ended up 2 or 3 weeks later trading the car, and they said because of the Carfax damage that they could only give me $2,100 for the car, so I lost $5,500 on the car. And is there any recourse I could have to sue her insurance company or anything to get some of my money back?
What do you think?
Yeah, so it depends on the age of the car. So North Carolina recognizes a claim for diminished value if the car was less than 5 years old, and it depends on the percentage. And it sounds like you did have, it has to be more than 25% of the damage to the vehicle. So but the problem is a lot of people, the car's older, and it's, 6, 7, 8 years old, in which case you don't really get diminished value typically. But yeah, if it's a young enough car, sufficiently new car, and the damage was more than 25%, make that insurance company pay you that diminished value.
How old is the car, Jerry?
It was a 2017.
Well, you're right on it then.
Yeah, you're on it.
So you could do it. Okay. Good luck to you. I would contact an attorney and go after the
Or
insurance
just, or even just, don't even have to pay an attorney for that. The insurance company will probably pay you for that unless you've already settled with them for the property damage.
Okay. Don't you love an attorney who says you don't
Don't
even
call the attorney.
Don't call the attorney.
Right.
We had a car question too come up yesterday. I saw a thing on CBS Evening News that used car prices now are so high that the guy that chronicled, he had bought a Tesla for $84,000, which is ridiculous.
Right.
But it's a brand new Tesla. And then a couple of months later, somebody offered him over $100,000 for the Tesla. So he flipped it. It's like flipping a house now. So he flipped it and made $17,000. So he goes back and he buys another Tesla, another new Tesla, and they have cracked down saying now, okay, you cannot sell this in the next 3 years or something. And GM and some others are saying, if you sell our vehicles in the first 12 months, the warranty doesn't go with it, that kind of thing. We were wondering, can they do that? Can't you sell your car if you want to sell your car?
Well, I mean, they can put whatever, they're putting this as a provision in the warranty, and that the warranty is a bargained for contract agreement. So they can put those terms in there if they want to. So that's what they're doing in order to try to crack down on this.
Yeah.
Or like in his case, they're saying they're watching your purchase patterns.
Yeah.
And if you buy another vehicle within 12 months, so they canceled his order for his second Tesla.
Did. He didn't get the
He
second
didn't
Tesla.
get the second one, yeah.
And they can do that.
They can do that because it's hurting they're looking at it like it's hurting their new car sales eventually.
I see.
Right now they can't keep up with demand, but
Right.
they don't want people undercutting them by getting these huge prices for the used cars and flipping them.
Isn't it the dealer's option to take the price up to $100,000 though?
Yeah.
A higher
I
price?
mean, really.
Yeah.
I mean, you could,
The original price.
A guy told me they're selling those E-Mustangs, and the price of them are, $65,000. He's like, people are offering us $75,000. They go above the sticker price.
Those are sweet too, by the way. A friend of mine has one.
Yeah, Kelly thinks he's getting one.
Yeah, he thinks he's-
Kelly, you need one. Man,
well,
you need one. They're
no,
awesome.
He can't pull that look off.
Chris Demm told me
he's
that.
not an E-Mustang guy.
He's not a regular
I'm
Mustang.
gas
I'm not a-
Mustang guy.
I'm not a Mustang. Come on, Lisa. You've seen my vehicle.
I
You
have
know
seen
this
your
thing.
vehicle, yeah.
Jeff, you have a question for Lisa Lanier. It's Ask the Lawyer Day. Go ahead.
Yes, good morning. Love the show, by the way.
Thank you.
Lisa, I do have a question for you. In 2019, I lost my stepfather, and my sister gave me the house, but sold me the land. Well, I've been making payments on it. I get receipts every time I make a payment, but when the tax bill comes on the property, it's like she will not show it to me for some unknown reason. My worry is, once I pay all this money, if we have a disagreement and she tells me I have to leave, do I have any kind of leg to stand on in the court of law?
It's an interesting question.
Yeah, well, so you can actually access the tax records. They're public records, so you can go online if you want to just find out about that. But I would be concerned. It sounds like you have kind of an informal arrangement with her, which is kind of scary. So,
Right.
I mean, you want to have this is a place where I would involve lawyers, and
You
I would
would.
make sure. Yeah, I would make sure that you have an ironclad agreement, because it sounds like she's doing like an owner financing kind of thing, which can be really dangerous because you can actually end up in a situation where you forfeit the property pretty quickly, especially if you miss payments or something like that. So I would make sure that you have a really solid agreement to make sure that you, because interest in real estate, they have to be in writing, and you really want to make sure that you're not losing out on something by doing like a lease informally.
Have a lawyer, get it done in writing, sign the paperwork, all that stuff. All
It's
right.
always touchies with family stuff, though, isn't it?
Oh, it is.
yeah.
Thank you, Jeff. Appreciate that. I hope that works out for you. It sounds like she's.
I mean, there are sisters.
I
God,
don't like what she's doing there, but yeah.
Doesn't smell quite right.
Get it in right. Listen, if I've learned anything from Jaquantavius,
Trust no one.
get it in writing, get a receipt.
Take pictures.
Take pictures. All of these things I should have done. And everybody, when I tell the story, they're like, "You didn't get you didn't get an estimate. You didn't get a receipt. You got nothing. No, nothing like that."
Nope. He just opened the door and said, "Do it."
I did.
And I didn't tell you what I'm gonna do.
And that dude was a ghost. It was all fake.
Oh my God, he's gone.
Burner phone and everything.
You tried to find him? Nothing. God, awful. Colleen, you have a question for Lisa Lanier. It's Ask the Lawyer Day. The number's 866-470-2GNC. Colleen, go ahead.
Hi, Lisa. I opened a small business this year, and I had worked with a client before I opened it, and now the client hasn't paid me in 60 days. And I was wondering if there is, what legal action I can take, because we do have a contract that says to be paid 30 days from the date of invoice.
Oh, well, I think you've got it.
Yeah, you definitely have it. And I'm assuming, how much are we talking about in money owed?
For me, it's significant because it's what I do now, but I don't know. I don't want to.
Oh, you don't want to say?
Well, I'm assuming it's less than $10,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So I would take this person to small claims court, and you should be able to prevail again. Potentially without an attorney. Most people do not bring an attorney to small claims court, and there's actually a really handy little packet that you can download online in North Carolina. It's put out by I think the AOC, the Administrative Office of the Courts. And it basically is a how-to guide for small claims.
Oh, really?
And yeah, most people represent themselves. You take your contract in there. You take, show that you haven't been paid. A lot of people don't even show up for it, and you get a default against them.
Okay, and
then you have to go execute on the judgment, which is a little bit harder, but it's actually a pretty simple process.
Well, who does that? If somebody doesn't show up in small claims court, do the cops go out and get the money for you?
The sheriff actually does it.
Okay, that makes sense. Well, that is exactly what I would do too, Colleen. I mean, I don't have a legal degree. I almost got it.
Oh, I thought you meant not show up for court. Yeah, I could see that.
Dave, there's been a few court dates you haven't shown up for.
No,
Sure,
yeah.
I've got to be a few.
Those files are permanently
Yeah,
sealed.
we're not going to say that. Justin, you have a question for Lisa Lanier, our official attorney on Ask the Lawyer Day. Go ahead.
Hey, good morning. Quick question. I was driving to work the other morning, and it was still dark outside. It was early in the morning, and there was a storm grate or storm drain that was sticking. It was actually had been knocked sideways, and the top metal piece was sticking out to the roadway about 3 feet. And I drive a big Hummer, and which takes up the whole lane. And I ended up sideswiping that thing, and it cracked both my rims and sliced 2 tires.
Ooh.
And there were aftermarket rims that you can't purchase anymore. So I just had to put new rims. I had a $300 tow, plus $5,700 for new rims and tires.
Oh, my God.
Ouch.
Ouch.
And
God.
and the location where it happened, I filed a complaint with the jurisdiction that's responsible for the storm grates. And which they said, yes, we are responsible for them, but we can't know the status of every storm grate in the city at any given time, and told me that was out of luck.
Oh, I'm afraid. I bet you are. I don't know.
Yeah,
but
I mean, typically a municipality or the state, depending on where a hazard is, will not pay unless there's evidence that the hazard has been there for a sufficient amount of time that the entity should have known about it. In other words, it's got to be there for several days or weeks even in order for the city to have notice of it, or there have to be complaints about it. Because they're right. I mean, the idea is that municipalities are not to be held responsible for something that just popped up.
Yeah.
How would they know that?
Right.
But if you do you carry full coverage on your Hummer? because you could file a
yeah.
collision claim. Yeah,
Yeah.
so you could file a collision claim for that.
Okay, try to do that.
Yeah.
But that can you check and see were there complaints about this? Can
Yeah,
you?
I mean that's usually what they would do. They would
Right.
look at their they would say, oh, and you can actually request, public records on that to see if there have been any prior complaints
Right.
of it. But chances are most of those things they happen, but somebody hit it or something,
Yeah.
and then it's you come by there shortly thereafter. That's not good, But if it stays there for days or weeks, that's when you've got a good.
Wow, well, that's terrible luck. Sorry that happened to you, Justin. Yeah, his tires are worth more than my whole car by like 10%.
Absolutely.
That's
Isn't that
crazy.
amazing?
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
He was saying that was $5,700. Are you kidding me? My
Yeah.
God, a Hummer. Anonymous, you're talking with Lisa Lanier, our official attorney. Ask the Lawyer Day. You have a question? Go ahead.
Yeah, so I was performing my job. I was working on a piece of equipment at work, and due to a lot of negligence on the company and the driver's part at my job, I was hit by a truck and crushed.
Ooh.
And
Ooh.
I'll be dealing with these injuries for a very long time. But I've been told that because I work for the company, and the guy that hit me drove for the company and was a company vehicle, that it's only a workers' comp case, and I could never go after them for negligence.
What is the case there?
Yeah, that is actually correct. North Carolina is a one recovery state, and so you don't have a third party claim if you are hit by a truck that is owned by the same company you work for. If it had been a private or separate company, some people another company will come onto your premises or whatever.
Right.
If it had been that case, you would have had a third party claim. But it is correct that the law in North Carolina is that is just straight up workers' comp.
Is that
And terrible? Yeah,
Now,
that's
we're in
terrible.
North Carolina. Is that common throughout the country, or is that a?
It's pretty typical, yeah. Most of
man.
it's one recovery.
Yeah.
Boy, that
Yeah,
stinks.
it really does. It's really a bad outcome for folks because workers' comp it reimburses you your wages that you're out, your medical bills. Now you are potentially going to be able to get a clincher at some point, which will be a lump sum settlement. You can get permanency paid for. So there are some additional lump sum dollars that are available out there for you, but that third party claim
It never
just isn't
happens.
there.
Doesn't
Yeah.
happen. All right. Thanks, Anonymous. I'm sorry that happened to you,
Yeah,
Anonymous.
that's
That sounds
terrible.
awful.
Got crushed.
Yes.
Crushed,
So
yeah.
if somebody here, if Dave hits me, and he's wanted to many times, I can't. Can I go after Dave or just the company? I can go after Dave at that point.
If Dave's in a company car,
But if he
Yeah.
runs me down in a company car,
Well, he wouldn't be in the course of his employment to hit you, but now if he runs you down in a company car,
Yeah.
yes, then you just have the workers' comp.
okay, all right.
Unless
Well,
you can outrun me.
boy, I hate that. I'm working on it. Mike, you have a question for Lisa Lear. It's Ask the Lawyer Day. Go ahead.
Yes, love your show.
Thank
I'll
you.
get right to it. My wife and I have a 11-year-old granddaughter whose last name is the same name as her biological mother.
Mm-hmm.
The biological mother has not been part of this granddaughter's life hardly at all. 3 years ago is the last time she had contact.
Right.
My wife and I have legal custody of the granddaughter, who wants to change her last name from the biological mother's last name to our last name.
Right.
Do we need the mother's consent, the biological mother's consent, since we have been granted legal custody? Can we change the granddaughter's last name to ours on our own?
Mike, let me ask you one question. Has the mom's parental rights been terminated? Have those rights been terminated?
That I don't know. That's probably why I'm
Probably
calling.
not.
To see.
Yeah, probably not. Usually that's in an adoption situation, but it sounds like you have not adopted, but you have custody, an award of custody. So that's a way that you can.
That's correct.
Right. Okay. So that's a way you can get custody without having to terminate. So the clerk of court is who you have to petition for a name change, and there's a pretty straightforward form to follow, and you can say why. But typically, if the biological parent is living and their rights have not been terminated, then they're going to have to consent to it, or the court is going to take that into account. But when she turns 16, things change, and she can have more say-so in her ability to change her name without these consents and things. So you might want to just wait a few years and do it when she's 16, because I imagine that the bio mom, even though she's a deadbeat, she's probably going to object to the name.
I bet
'cause
so.
That's just how people roll,
That's right. That's how.
Yeah.
God darn right. That's how people. That makes me so sick. Thank you, Mike. I just, since Jaquantavius came onto my property, I've been lashing and I've been mad at the world. Somebody said to me yesterday, "Thank you, Mike." I was telling. He asked, you did. He said, "How dumb were you?" And I told him the whole story, and he's like, "But don't you aren't you just shocked that people would do that? I mean, this guy was standing there. I was handing him thousands of dollars. He knows he's lying to me. I just wanted to say, how can you do this, Jacques Montavious?
It's terrible.
We've known each other for 2 hours. I just want to say, how can you do this to
People
me?
have been doing it since the beginning of time.
Exactly.
Right.
But how miserable must you feel? And now, of course, I'm so less trusting of people. You know,
yeah.
it's just a horrible. And like
horrible.
right there, that mom, you know, she's a deadbeat,
Yeah.
and yet she's going to object.
She's going to object.
And make life harder for these two people that are raising this daughter.
right.
You know, I don't know, man. You know, just made me lose faith in the world, Lisa.
That's
I'm glad there are good people like you in this world to do right by. Call her if you need her, or go to her website, hireaheavyweight.com or lanierlawgroup.com. We're out of time. It's that quick.
All right.
It's just that fast. Look at
Just
you.
that fast.
Thank you very much for coming in today, as
It's a
always.
pleasure,
I appreciate
always.
it. We didn't even get hardly any of our stories over here.
No, I know.
We just
Lots
had
of
such great
questions.
calls. I
Yeah,
know. I
that's
love the
right.
calls.
I was just waiting for you to be done with your panic attack.
No kidding. Jesus.
The world! Oh! I'm sorry.
I'm getting used.
By golly. It just has brought me down. Okay? Thank you, Lisa. Have a great
50
day.
some years to get scammed. Finally, I'm in the club.